Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, I am Marilyn Manson, as you can tell, as Jack Skellington. With that being said, I have a folder here. I have a folder with an incomplete story, but this is filled with details, and I want to tell you my spookiest story. So to do that, I had to get spooky. So here's the story. Now, like I said, it's not all the way finished. So let's get reading. The house. The day was coming to an end, but the fun has yet to begin. I was a leader for the Redeemers Fellowship Middle School overnighter. As a leader, I had to attend the leaders' meeting at 1:30 p.m. to figure out the details of this trip. The time hit 2:30 p.m. and the middle schoolers started to show up, and I was there to help them get all checked in. After they were all checked in, we loaded up their gear and sleeping bags into the vans at 3:15 p.m. Some of the kids helped Matthew load up the music gear into the bus. Once the bus and vans were loaded, we made our way to In-N-Out Burger, the hamburger joint. Then to downtown Roseburg. It was a 6-hour drive from the church. I was in the bus and Corey was driving, and the middle schoolers and I were singing Disney songs. We then reached In-N-Out Burger and we unloaded the vans and went inside to order and eat. The time hit 6:30 p.m. and we then reloaded the vans and continued on our way to the house. Now that we were back in the bus, I got the honor to lead the next Disney song, and I picked the song, A Whole New World, a new fantastic point of view. For some reason, I chose to look out my window, and I noticed the fog was coming in thick. But that's not all. I also noticed a tall, black, slender figure peering through the fog. I felt creeped out, but felt led to just shake it off. That was sent my way, as I didn't want to spook the kids. 2 hours and 30 minutes finally passed, and we finally showed up to our destination. I will just say this, the house looks vintage. We are staying in a Victorian-aged house from the 1800s. The original homeowner was the founder of Redeemers Fellowship, and Corey, our middle school pastor, wanted to show the middle schoolers the history of this house. Now the house was rumored to be haunted, but Corey swore it's the house just being old, plus he is a skeptic, as he believes all good spirits go to heaven and bad spirits go to hell, and no such things as ghosts, and he doesn't want us feeding into this rabbit hole of ghosts being legit. The story of the rumored haunting is that Pete Williamson, the original homeowner of this specific house, lived a very lonely life and loved to be alone on the 3rd floor with his chair up against the left corner of the wall. That way it was a perfect angle facing the window, as he loved watching the people pass by in their carriages. Now the house was built in 1817 and is 3 stories tall. It has 4 bathrooms, 7 bedrooms, 9 closets, 2 levels of spiral stairs, 1 basement where you can find the laundry room and where the maid slept. this house was the first of its kind. Pete Williamson built Redeemer's Fellowship in 1872 in downtown Roseburg. Redeemer's Fellowship was finished in 1874 and was known to be the first ever Masonic lodge. Its popularity still grows and makes people wonder if this is a church or a cult or the Illuminati. Pete attended this church until he was tragically killed in the comfort of his own home. How was he killed? The kids asked. The tour guide told us in graphic detail that he was tortured. The killers took Pete to the basement and put him in restraints and cut off his toes, then his fingers. Then they broke his nose and grabbed an eyeball scooper from their medical kits and gouged out both of his eyes. That way he couldn't see, smell, or feel. The killers then cleaned up their mess and grabbed Pete and threw him into the trunk of their carriage and drove off and went to the abandoned forest 4 miles from the house. The killers arrived at the forest and got out the body and their digging tools and started to dig the hole for Pete's body. He sadly was still alive when he was buried. Once the job was done, the killers drove away in their carriage and were never seen again. Now that you, the listener, know how Pete died and understand the history of this specific house, you can now understand what is about to happen to Jordan. So, what happened to our friend Jordan is that she was with the kids, the middle schoolers, and they were exploring the rooms, getting a tour of this house, and she decided to go off on her own because she again saw this eerie black figure kind of going a different direction of the whole group. And she decided to go off on her own and follow this figure. This figure led her to the basement. And so she followed naively. And as she went down there, it got darker and darker going down these stairs. And she finally came to this door, which was the door of the basement where Pete Williamson was tortured very brutally. It's where his body was dismembered. She went in there and she could instantly feel evil, like evil senses. She could feel the an evil presence. Now she could see where they restrained Pete. Like, it wasn't clean, let's just say that. Like, the killers didn't clean up their mess. There was old dry blood on the ground. There was blood in the restraints. The eyeballs were all shriveled up on their little medical table. Fingers, toes, and who knows what else. But she saw all this down in the basement, so it proves the story that Pete was brutally tortured. She then went to the washroom, which is also in the basement, which is also where this black figure kind of kept going, and he just disappeared. It just disappeared. But it stopped at the washroom. So Jordan decided to look around, and she turns around and boo! This figure showed itself. It had no eyes, a broken nose going that way, had no fingers and no toes. And so that's when Jordan realized who this figure was. It wasn't a demon, it wasn't the devil, it wasn't God, nor was it Jesus. It was Pete. Jordan then started talking to Pete, and it kind of got louder. Like, the middle schoolers could hear voices down there. So the middle schoolers are like, wait, Corey, stop. Like, we hear voices coming from the basement, and where did Jordan go? Where is she? So, unfortunately, Corey's like, she left the group. So they all headed down to the basement, and they saw Jordan, and they saw the mess, and Corey just went. And he's like, Jordan, you okay? Jordan was not responsive. Jordan was still and quiet with her back turned to the group. So Corey kind of got freaked out because she wasn't moving, she wasn't talking, she wasn't acknowledging. It was almost like she was speechless or deaf. Something happened, for sure. So Corey went to go to Jordan's front side, and they saw that Jordan had no eyes, no fingers, no toes, and blood was just streaming down her face. But she was still alive. So Corey had her rushed to the hospital. But the doctor said there's nothing wrong with Jordan. Which is weird because Corey's like, yeah, there is. She's missing her eyeballs. She's missing her fingers, her toes. Like, there's blood, like, everywhere. And the doctors are like, no, she's fine. So, weeks went past. They ended the trip way earlier than they wanted to. They got the heck out of that house. And Jordan was told that she could go back to work as a normal citizen. So she went back to work as usual. She didn't feel like anything was weird. She was back to talking and everything. And then things started happening at work. Now Jordan works at a local family-owned pet shop. So there's fishies, hamsters, there's a register, there's doors, it's like a business. So she's working at this pet shop, and then all of a sudden, things start going wrong. The cash register just shuts down. The power goes out. The doors are like slamming like this. The fish tanks are flooding for no reason. The trash can moved on its own. Like, things are really starting to happen. And it's kind of more towards the back of the store. Like, their fishies just were starting to die. No explanation. Like, hundreds of them just dead. So her coworkers were like, hey Jordan, that trip that you went on, did you bring anything back with you? And she goes, well, I was admitted to the hospital because apparently I didn't have any eyes, didn't have any fingers, didn't have any toes, which happened to the original homeowner, Pete Williamson. So their work decided to do a seance, or, like, play with the Ouija board. They found out that what was going on in the pet store was Pete messing with them. He came back with Jordan. And so he lives on in the store. Fun. Is Jordan okay? No. Is anybody okay though? No. Everybody has their ups, everybody has their downs. This story is true, but also based on a dream. So you can decide as the listener or the viewer what was real and what was fake. I hope you guys enjoyed this scary, spooky story. If you guys want, you can leave spooky, scary stories down in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up and make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!